Last year we had a fantastic family holiday together. Chloe, the girls and myself, we headed down to the awesome Bearley Lakes. It was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was amazing, yeah. Really good holiday. We stayed in a lovely caravan and had loads of nice day trips out, and then in the evening and the morning beforehand we'd go fishing.
It's not a baby.
It's not, certainly not a baby one, sweetheart. Girls had a lovely time, you know, and mixing it up so it wasn't just fishing made it into a nice family holiday. Of course, we get out quite a lot. We go out on Sunday together, doing our here and there. But this session now, this is our last sort of camping session of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Probably time to get a couple of rods out, get a bit of sleep, get up in the morning, and let you guys know exactly what happened this summer on our family fishing holiday. Oh, they're lovely ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, a lovely evening yesterday. Had a barbecue, beautiful sunset, and then through the night, managed to catch a couple of lovely commons. Girls going to do a bit of fishing themselves now. Going to get a float rod out, babe?
Yeah.
Catch some little rudd and maybe some perch. Maybe even try for a big pike at the end. Me, I'm going to sit down and, as I said last night, run you through exactly what happened on our family holiday at the start of the summer. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoa. There they go. Bye-bye. Right, you gonna go and catch some yourself?
Yeah.
Come on. Now we can start making the tea.
But Mummy said it's lunch.
Yeah, sort of late breakfast. If something disappears, what do you have to do? Put it in. This year's family fishing holiday was somewhat different to the type we've had in the past. The main reason being, we ventured over to Europe. We had a dream destination in mind, and that is the incredible Fishery Stefan in Austria. I'd heard so much about it. A number of the Nash lads had been there before and made films. There's lots to see on the internet about it, and I was itching to get over there myself. I also know the lads that run the fishery very well, and they've been saying for a number of years now, you've got to come over with your family. It's absolutely perfect for them. So that was the venue decided, Fishery Stefan. But typical me, couldn't make things simple. No, I decided to turn it into, well, basically a European road trip. The morning came round and we set our alarm clocks for really early, 2:30 in fact. The girls woke up, bundled them into the car, and we headed off down to the Eurotunnel. Where are we going?
Beach.
Everything should have been plain sailing, but upon arrival, we ended up with a 4-hour delay. Yes, buddy, you look happy. And you do, Maya. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. What else might we see?
Ducky.
Excited, Daddy?
Yeah. Two little cheeky monkeys, aren't you?
Yeah.
Eventually we did board the train to get into France, only to, upon departure, find out that there was a coach in front of us that had broke down. Things had gone from bad to worse. But hey ho, eventually we were in France, the sun was rising, and we were heading off to a place called Metz. I've never been there before, but good friend Fib, one of the French Nash team, he lives there, and we decided to call in and see him and have a picnic. Bonjour! We stopped off at an incredible complex of gravel pits. It was a glorious day, and we unloaded the van, got the picnic hamper out, wandered around until we found a nice spot. The girls sat down, all the food came out, everyone was munching, having a lovely time, but I was itching to check these lakes out. Right, I'll be back babe in 2 minutes. After grabbing a bite to eat myself, I wandered off with Fib and found a group of carp milling around in the edge.
Many carp.
And some of them were half decent as well.
Many.
I quickly decided I was going to run back to the van, grab my sawn off and go and try and nab a real quick bite. And that's exactly what I did. I grabbed a £3 sawn off. The location where the fish were was particularly snaggy. They were underneath these bushes. And it was just minutes before the rod buckled over and I was into a French carp. And I actually had to get into the water right up to my shoulders to land it.
Of course! Yeah! That's what we do, brother!
Super exciting. The girls came round, fish was in the net, and we got it out for a quick picture. Well, that was epic. Had a lovely picnic. As I said a minute ago, literally just stopped off to check the venue out. Didn't really think I was going to be fishing, did I, babe? Before having to sadly say goodbye to Fib and carry on the journey. Say bye-bye. All the sunflowers! Yeah, we were literally just flying down this road and stumbled across this amazing sight. Does it smell beautiful?
Big. Sunflower. Sunflower.
To get to Fishery Stefan, it's no easy feat. It's right across France, Germany, and then into Austria. And the place in question is Carinthia in southern Austria. The total travel time, on a good run, 22 hours. But because of our delay and the fact that the day was wearing on now, the girls were shattered, we decided the best thing to do was to stop off in Munich, book into a hotel and get some much needed sleep. So that's exactly what we did. We arrived in Munich about 10 o'clock, checked into the hotel, and yeah, we got our heads down and got some sleep. At least we can sleep in a proper bed tonight. We woke up fresh in the morning, ready for the rest of our journey, and we carried on down into Carinthia itself. It's such a beautiful drive. The scenery is breathtaking, huge mountains, lots of forests, and along the way we'd stop off, take all this in at service stations or little picnic bays, and just break the journey up so the girls weren't cramped into the back of the van for the whole time.
Just stopped off, stretch our legs at this service station. The most ridiculous, beautiful ocean blue lake.
Mummy saw a few of these earlier.
Yay! Van is obviously filled to the rafters. It's like Eurobanks, but there's push bikes in there and prams and all sorts.
Hello,
We eventually arrived at Fishery Stefan about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the Monday, and we met up with Christoph, the owner's son. He's a cracking lad, and he immediately took us to our accommodation and showed us around.
Yeah, nice to see you, man. Yeah.
The venue couldn't have been more perfect. Super safe, no cars driving around, and accommodation, when you consider it's a fishing complex, was second to none.
Real nice fishing house.
Kitchen, bathroom, also balcony.
Leave him there and you can see him later, once you've got your bug kits out.
Cool.
We can wake up and look at that.
What a view. After that, we met up with Mario. He's the sort of fishery officer for the complex. He stuck us in this really cool sort of mode of transport they have. It's like an extended golf buggy, so to speak, with a nice canopy over the top. And he took us for a big tour all around the lagoon, the L1 gravel pit, and also around the Billabong, just so we understood the lay of the land, showed us the good areas, you know, where fish had been coming out in previous weeks and stuff. Before then, going and getting a really big boat, putting us all onto the boat and taking us onto the island, because one of the nights that we stayed there, we planned to camp out on the island, on the main river itself. With the baiting up done, we headed back to the shore, started to unload the van, unpack the momentous amount of gear that I'd crammed into the back of the transporter before, just as the sun was setting, heading over to the on-site restaurant. Yep, that's right, they've got a beautiful restaurant there. We went back to the house, and by that point the girls were absolutely shattered. So Chloe and the girls took themselves to bed. Me, on the other hand, I had a mission on my hands, and that was to prepare all the fishing equipment for our next few days at the Fishery Stefan complex. I was up until the early hours of the morning preparing everything, out in the boat on the Billabong, looking for spots. It was a really interesting piece of water, quite uniform until you got the prodding stick out and really started to search for the gullies and the troughs and the sort of sandy plateau areas. I marked all these up with H blocks, decided not to fish that night, but the following night I would have a go. The next morning I woke up to a beautiful sunrise, really eager to get down onto the L1 gravel pits and do a little bit of stalking with Mario. We wandered around and found lots of fish, and some big ones too. Typical me, I just wanted to chase them with a bread bomb, so that's exactly what I did for 3 or 4 hours. My sawn off, my net, Matt, just went off on missions trying to hunt these carp down, but they were really spooky, and every time I presented a bait to them, they just seemed to veer off and vacate the area. It wasn't going to be as easy as I'd first thought. As morning wore on, Chloe and the girls got up, come down and had a bite of breakfast with us. Chloe and the girls did some float fishing and caught some really big crucian carp and bream. Me, on the other hand, I still hadn't bagged my first Fishery Stefan carp. Big rod.
Okay, clever girl.
She's swimming that way.
Okay, oh, he changed direction.
That afternoon we decided to knock the fishing on the head and spent the entire afternoon in a swimming pool.
Look, Mummy, over.
Come on and show me where this swimming pool is.
It's not a swimming pool like one I've ever been in before. It was more like a lake, really, really natural, with lily pads glowing in it, rushes all around the outside, but it was nice and warm, and we had a fantastic afternoon splashing around in the water.
I need the wee way.
There's the swimming pool. There's the Billabong. There's the swimming pool. There's L1. Just through them trees. The big lake. It's all literally on your doorstep. And when I say doorstep, you can't quite see. But there's the restaurant. We're living just the other side of that. So yeah, it's literally all here. Girls are having a lovely time.
Mummy doesn't love.
Mine's a floating unicorn. You gonna soak up them rays too, Fern?
The girls went to bed, and I decided that evening I was going to fish on the Billabong. After preparing my spots the night before, and with the H block still in place, it was a simple case of going out in the boat and lowering my rigs over the edge. I kept things nice and simple, a nice grubbing around Scopex squid mix, a short hook link with a drop-off inline lead. That was all it was going to take for only a couple of hours later to receive my first bite.
Yes. Nice scales.
The rudd were bigger earlier, weren't they?
No. Babe, it's a start. It had only been out like 20 minutes.
I do love those culture look baits. Put 2 or 3 decent handfuls of freebies around it, and still the bite came very, very quickly. That night I managed to catch 3 beautiful carp from the billabong, nothing massive but truly wild fish, and a real great way to kick off my actual angling at Fishery Stefan. I reeled the rods in about midnight, decided to get a few hours sleep because again I wanted to get up bright and early and head over to the L1 gravel pit to do some more stalking with Mario for these bigger carp. And things were a lot different that next morning. I'd cracked it. Instead of chasing them with a bread bomb, I was setting little traps in the edge. Again, going around baiting with flake, pellet, broken boilies and stuff. And go around baiting lots of likely looking areas in the edge and waiting for the carp to turn up before lowering a cultured hook bait onto their head. And it kicked off. I managed a couple of bites very, very quickly, literally by just lowering the rig down in amongst feeding fish. I then wandered further on down to the bottom of the gravel pit itself, again found some fish up on a sort of shallow plateau. At this point the girls had woken up and come down to see me and bring some breakfast. It was minutes again before one of the rods ripped off and I ran over to pick it up, almost for the rod next to it to go at exactly the same time.
I've got 2! 2 at once!
With me playing one fish, Maya took control of the other rod. It was really, really special, and we both landed 2 stunning fish. We kind of wrapped it up then, having 4 or 5 fish that morning, and decided to head back to the house because on this particular night we were going to venture onto the island and camp out. We loaded up the boats with all the gear we needed and headed across onto the island for a night's fishing. It was wicked.
You're not licking the knife, are you?
They're gonna make a fire.
It had rained all night, I'd caught so many fish, and yeah, things weren't going to stop in the morning either. I put the rods back out again and it was just like a repeat performance of the night before. The rods just kept ripping off, Maya was playing fish, Chloe was playing fish, and I caught one more spectacular carp before all of a sudden it was like someone flicked the light switch and they just completely stopped feeding. Bye then. We decided to get off the island about 9 o'clock in the morning, head back to the house, have a lovely shower, and then we got ourselves in the van, no fishing tackle this time, and drove across the border into Slovenia. I wanted to take the girls to visit Lake Bled. We're back. Well, I'm back. It's Chloe and the girls' first time at the incredible Lake Bled. No fishing, we've just come to go to the beach. There's a beautiful beach up one end by the campsite and it's only an hour and 15 minutes from Fishery Stefan, so had to do it. There it is, Bled. Gives you a smile, Maya? Big smile. It's a shame we didn't manage to do any fishing there, but it wasn't about that. The girls went and did some pony riding, we had a wicked swim in the swimming pool, to the point that we even found some fish up to about 25 kilos that I was kind of almost swimming around with. Just generally a really nice family day out. Later on that evening we headed back across the border to Fishery Stefan, and this was our final night. I chucked the rods out on the billabong, didn't manage to catch anything, but did wake up again early in the morning, hooking up with Mario for one final little stalking session, catching one fish before it was time to bid farewell to the guys, the amazing complex, and head on the rest of our adventure. Thank you, bruv. Mate, thank you for an amazing time. It's been fantastic. Everything was bundled back into the car and we drove up to Vienna in Austria.
Bye-bye, river. Bye-bye, river. Bye-bye, tractors.
Bye-bye Island.
Bye-bye, island.
Bye-bye Beaver.
Bye-bye, beaver.
I actually had to work in a shop for 2 days, so I booked the girls into a really nice hotel. On the Friday and Saturday I worked in the tackle shop with the rest of the Austrian team, demonstrating all the rigs and the bait and stuff.
Major plume juice edge.
You love it, don't you? The girls on the other hand, they met up with good friends Bastel and Nick and their families and spent the day swimming, eating ice creams, having picnics and just having a lovely time.
Where are we going, Maya?
Please, swimming.
Swimming. Should we go?
Going swimming.
We're gonna go out with Bastil.
Gonna give you a best out.
Yeah.
We're going to the beach.
Are you?
Yeah, with Bastel.
Is Bastil your best friend?
No fear.
Oh, Freya is.
On the Saturday evening, I decided to go and visit some of the lads that were fishing, and something truly remarkable happened. Flo, again, a really good friend and part of the Austrian Nash team, he managed to catch a really big fish, over 60 pounds in fact.
Boys been catching a lot of small fish from the area. A few weeks ago, done a couple of big ones, and it looks like Saturday afternoon. Whoa, he's done another real big one.
It's you.
Wow, gee, bro.
Getting close makes me wonder things, look for love. Let's be together, only one in us, wanderlust. From slow jams to summer cuts, that's the one for us.
We cracked open some bottles of bubbly, toasts all around. It was a spectacular way to end our time in Austria.
We need more shop days in Vienna, definitely.
Like one a month.
One a week.
Now it's 1,
look
2,
at
3,
them.
4, 5, 6, 7, 17 I
They're
used, so-
identical.
I know they are.
Planning on getting a lot of fishing done this year then?
This year, the next 10 years.
If you look really carefully, you can see tiny little things wriggling.
I touched it. Yeah.
Oh no, it's a stone.
It's down.
The next morning we got up, checked out of the hotel and drove all the way up to Cologne to meet up with Mark Boosum. We went and checked out a couple of gravel pits, then ventured across to a park lake, but up until now, hadn't managed to bag any carp. But we had a lovely time. The girls spent the morning playing in the park, eating beautiful cakes, and me and Mark went off on missions looking for carp. We then decided we'd spend the rest of the day at Legoland in Cologne. Mark took us over there, showed us where it was, and would you believe it? There was a lot of water in front of it. It seemed too good to be true. There was carp milling around everywhere, and as soon as we threw any bread in the surface, they'd just come up and eat it. I looked at Maya and Fern and said, should we just catch a carp quickly before we go into Legoland? They both agreed.
Go on, Maya.
Eventually, after a really big battle, we bundled it into the net, and I really couldn't believe quite how big it was. Possibly the biggest fish in that particular piece of water. Around 30 pound in size. Between Maya and myself, it was a mega carp.
Beautiful.
We bid our farewells to Mark and went inside Legoland. What an epic afternoon we had.
Oh look, there's a concert going on, a music concert.
Did you have a good time at Legoland? What was your favourite bit?
Face painting.
Whee, and you're a butterfly. What are you, Fern? You're a heart. Oh, never mind.
We decided then to head on the road one more time, back towards the UK now, with our final stop-off destination being Belgium.
We're in Belgium.
I got on the phone to Gio and Dave and asked if it would be alright to drop onto the Monkey Climber Lake for the evening. Of course they obliged, top blokes, and that's exactly what we did. We rocked up there again just as the sun was setting, had a bite to eat, set up the gazebo, pumped up the girls' beds, and yeah, they got to sleep. I set about doing some fishing, just simply flicking a couple of sawn-offs out in front of where we were.
You're in Daddy's bed, Maya.
Sadly, I woke up in the morning a little bit despondent. I hadn't caught anything, but I really wanted one more fish just to end our family fishing holiday. So I got on my toes, did a lot of walking around, and eventually found them fizzing and bubbling in one particular area of the lake. Time was really against me now. We had a tunnel to catch back to the UK, but I quickly ran round there with a couple of sawn-offs, flicked out my cultured hook baits again, and literally minutes later, hooked into a carp. And it was no small one either, one of the better fish of the lake, and after a really big battle, Maya helping me with the netting, we slipped the net under a truly gorgeous Belgian common.
Big cheeses again!
A truly magnificent Belgian common, and what a way to end a fantastic holiday away. It was brilliant, but it was time to go home now. We were shattered, but we'd had so much fun, and we cannot wait to get back out again next year and spend some quality time on the bank fishing together.
Lovely dark one, man.
Go on, big scoop.
Well done, Daddy.
Like a blacky brown colour, isn't he?
Brown colour.
What a fantastic way to end our family fishing session together. It's going to be winter very, very soon, so we won't be able to get out on the bank until the spring. But it's something to really look forward to when the daffodils pop up and the weather becomes good again.